All right, so we are about to finish the chapter. So on Friday we did graphing inequalities. So we had one inequality on each graph. Today we're graphing systems of inequalities. So it's the same idea. There will just be more than one inequality on each graph. And just like systems of equations, we have to find the point that makes them both true. Systems of inequalities, we're finding the region of the graph that makes them both true. Okay? So we are going to graph both of these just like we did on Friday. Okay? We're looking for the spot on the graph that makes them both true. So the first one, x is greater than 2. X equals lines, go through the x-axis, and they are vertical lines. This one will be solid because it's an or equal to, and I'm going to test a point. I'll test 0, 0. The x value is 0. So is 0 greater than 2? No. So I want to shade in the other direction. So that's my first graph. And I'm going to shade extra light today because the real answer is where they're both shaded. Okay, so just very lightly shade to the right of that line.
Are we doing the little both true thing? Are they both true or not?
We're trying to find the region that makes them both true. All right, the next one.
So the right side, or no, since you shaded on the right side, is that the side that...
I tested the point 0, 0.
Oh, okay.
0, 0 did not make it true. So I shaded in the other direction.
But how do you know the other direction is... Like,
Because if it made it true, it would be over here. If it's not true, which it wasn't true, then it's over here. There's only two portions.
okay.
Like, it's usually kind of like more above or below the line, but here is to the left or the right of the line. To the left was not true, so I'm going to go to the right. Okay, for the other line, I'm going to use M and B. I'm going to graph the line. The B is 1. The M is also 1. So up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. I am going to connect these. Now, I am using a dashed line because it is not an or equal to. It's just greater than. I can test 0, 0 again. It's pretty close to the line, but it's not on the line. So it works as a test point. Now, you guys seem to be struggling with the test point. If 0, 0 makes this equation true, I will be shading down here where the 0, 0 is. Okay? If the 0, 0 is not true, I will be shading in the other direction. Okay? Those are the only two options right now. All right? When I plug in 0, 0, is 0 greater than 1? No. So I'm going to shade in the other section. But I'm going to shade very lightly, and I'm looking for the part of the graph where they're both shaded. It is this little triangle right here. So that is where you really want to go to town with your pencil, okay? Shade it in. That's my solution. That is the part of the graph that makes both of these inequalities true. You don't have to go back and erase these. They're still helpful in looking at where our solution came from, but the real solution is this guy right here. Yes.
What about the one that's completely empty?
Then that's definitely not a solution for any of the lines inequalities. What are your questions? So you might be saying like, oh, I was really good at Friday and this already makes perfect sense. That's good. If you didn't do Friday's homework and you're still confused about Friday, this is probably going to be a challenging lesson. That's just how it goes. Any questions? No. All right. Here is number 2. once again, I'm going to graph these separately. I'm going to look for the place where they overlap. How will I start the first one? Go to +1 on the y-axis. From there, what am I going to do? Down 1, 2, 3, right 2. Down 1, 2, 3, right 2. It is a solid line because it is an or equal to. I'm struggling with this. All right, there it is. Now, once again, the 0, 0 is very close, but it's not on the line, so I'm going to use that as my test point. Is 0 less than or equal to 1?
Less than.
It's not a multiple choice question. It's a yes or no question.
No.
Is 0 less than or equal to 1?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to shade in the direction that included the point 0, 0. Questions? Graph the next line. How do I start the next one? Go down to -3. From here, what do I do? Up 1, right 2. Up 1, right 2. Solid or dashed? Solid again because it is an or equal to line. Once again, I can use the test point of 0, 0. Thank you. 0 is less than or equal to, that's going to be 0, -3 is -3. Is 0 less than or equal to -3? No. So I cannot shade up here because that's the region of the graph that included the test point that made it false. So shade in the other direction. I have to shade down here, lightly. Now where do they have in common? This little guy over here. So really go to town over in this region. What are your questions? All right, here's number 3. Number 3 is a little harder because they're not already in y equals mx plus b, but I can get them into y equals mx plus b pretty simply. On the first one, I'm just going to subtract x from both sides. So 2y is less than -x minus 6. And then divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. Y is less than -1/2 x minus 3. So start at the -3 on the y-axis. Go down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2. Will this be solid or dashed? Very good. All right, I'm going to test 0, 0 again. You can plug it into the original equation if you want. You can plug it in down here if you want. It doesn't matter. I usually go back to the original to go with where I started. So 0 is less than -6. Is that true?
Yes.
Is 0 less than -6?
Oh, no.
No, so shade in the other direction, away from the 0, 0. All right, next guy, I'll start doing this one over here. So I am going to subtract 3x from both sides. Then I will divide by a -2. When you divide by a negative, what happens? Good, so this is y less than 3/2 x plus 1. So I'm going to start at the +1. I'm going to rise 3. I'm going to run 2. I'm going to rise 3. I'm going to run 2. This one is also dashed. And once again, it's real close to 0, 0, but I can still use 0, 0. If it's true, I'm going to shade over here. If it's false, I'm going to shade over here. And I'm going to find the spot where they overlap. Once again, I'm going back to the original. It just makes me feel like maybe I'll catch a mistake if I made it. I might not, but maybe. All right, is 0 greater than -2? Yeah. So I'm going to shade in the direction where the 0, 0 test point was very lightly. And then I'm going to really go to town at the overlapping section because that's my actual answer. The lightly shaded part is kind of just showing your work. This is the actual answer. What are your questions? All right, how'd you start it? Yes, ma'am.
E minus x.
Yeah, start by subtracting the x. Negative y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 3. Then what? Divide by -1. Switch your sign. Okay, so we have -3 as my b, 1 as my slope. Everyone good on this one? Solid or dashed?
Solid.
Solid, and then which direction did you shade?
That one right there.
Up or down?
I don't know.
Down.
Okay.
Okay? Because if you test 0, 0 back in the original, 0 is greater than or equal to 3. That is not true. So you shade in the opposite direction of your test point. How's everyone so far? Halfway through. You good? All right. Second half of the problem. How'd you start? Subtract 4x. All right. And the graph starts where? Up at the 2 on the y. Good. Then what?
Go down -4 and over 1.
Down 4 over 1. Down 4 over 1. Solid or dashed on this one? Dashed. It's not an or equal to, so we're dashed. When you tested 0, 0, what happens?
It doesn't.
It's not true. If you test it here, it's not true. You get 0 is greater than 2. That's not true. Over here, you still get 0 is greater than 2. Still not true, okay? So don't shade where the 0, 0 is. Shade on the other side. All right? So now I'm shading sort of like over here. And where do they have in common? Down here. All right. Raise your hand if you got that one right. Yeah. People that weren't raising your hand, anyone want to share why? Yes.
The equation wrong.
Just got the y equals wrong? Yeah. Happens. A lot of the mistakes on these are kind of just silly graphing mistakes. So go slow, check your signs, plug it in. A nice way to do this as well would be to take a point from where you shade it, like 10, 0, right? Plug it into both. If it doesn't make both of them true, you might have shaded in the wrong direction. You did shade in the wrong direction. Okay? So you can check a couple test points along the way. Any questions?
No.
All right, let's do a quick summary. What were these called?
Systems of linear.
System. Yeah, make sure you have the word systems because we did linear inequalities on Friday. Today we graphed systems, so more than one. All right, and like I said, we're a bit out of order. We've already done one of the chapter reviews. It's day 9. You have it. I just showed you the answers. You should be good to go with using that as a study tool. I'm going to give you the day 8 homework today. Tomorrow, when you come in, we'll do a quick review as a class, like in the warm-up style, okay? Then we're going to go over the day 9. Then you're going to have a review you can take home with you. It has all the answers on it. That'll be your final tool for studying for the chapter test that's Thursday. This is your last big grade before the final. So make sure you're really taking this week seriously. Any questions?